1.5 before the tip.
Damn, just off your bet.
I think it is, yeah, because it's happening pretty much in every game, and the lines will move pretty quick after I bet it. So they kind of know who's sharp and who's not. And like an NFL game, it's very tough to get a massive edge because there's so much money being bet into that market.
All right, guys, got him back. He's been on a sports betting tear since we last talked. Cblez, how's it going, man?
It's going amazing. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Love your podcast. It's awesome.
You've been betting nonstop since you came on.
Every day, pretty much. But I have been betting for like 10 years, but I just made content about betting more like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
So you weren't public with it until you started doing content?
Not really, because I like to be confident and sure of what I'm doing. So if I don't have an edge, I don't want to put stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like for cards back in the day, I've always been doing that. So I did a lot of content. It's kind of easy for me. It's natural to make stuff. For betting, I wanted to like prove myself and then go out there in the public.
Well, that's smart because a lot of people start doing their content right when they start betting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against anybody, but Gary Vee's an inspiration content-wise, and he says he likes to study markets and then talk about them later.
Smart.
So I kind of took that approach.
Do you feel like players can actually get an edge in sports betting?
For sure.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, most people lose. I would say like the public, probably 97% of people lose, maybe higher.
Damn.
But there's definitely edges to be had.
97%.
It's probably higher, dude.
Holy crap. So that's almost everyone betting.
The thing is, most people have problems with like their bankroll. So they'll just bet everything on one game because they think it's a lock. But in reality, the best sports bettors, they're just trying to win like 57% of the time, which means you're going to lose 43% of the time. You're going to have a lot of losses in there.
Right.
So like people look at my videos and they're like, oh, you lose a lot. But that's part of the game because you have to lose a lot, just like anything in life. You have to lose a lot first before you're going to start winning.
Right. Yeah, like you said, you only need 57 out of the 100. So you're going to lose 43.
And that's good.
Right.
That'd be great.
Is that the break-even point, 57?
No, I think it's like 52.
Oh, 52 is, okay.
Like Billy Walters, he's the best of all time. I'm pretty sure he won at like a 60% clip.
Damn.
And he's making tens of millions.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Billy Walters. What sports does he bet on mainly?
I think he did like NFL mainly and college stuff. But he wrote a book. He's known as like the best bettor of all time. He's kind of like old now. I think he's like in his 60s.
Interesting.
But he was pretty much the edges close as time goes because the sports books realize what people are doing. So back in like the 70s and 80s when he was betting a lot, the edges were so much bigger. So he would win at a higher rate. But now the books realize what people are doing, so you have to change your strategy. It's kind of like a war, the player versus the bookie. So you have to keep updating and changing your data, seeing what the books are doing in order to win. Right,
and now they probably have insane AI and software, detecting.
Yeah, the edges are closing every day, but then new ones open because a lot of markets that they didn't offer even 2-3 years ago, they're now offering a lot of player props, a lot of in-game wagering. So you can find new edges, but you just got to be on top of your game and stay sharp.
Yeah. Plus there's these new like online casinos, right? So you could probably exploit some edges there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like DraftKings and FanDuel, they're massive now. You can't play them in Vegas, but I like to bet mostly on sides and totals pregame. But there's so many ways to bet, and I think people are making money in all different types of ways.
Yeah. The Gatorade bet seemed like the easiest one to me.
Which one?
Like you could bet on the color of the Gatorade at the Super
Bowl.
I just feel like that one's easy if you know some of the players.
I mean, you could also get like information.
That's what I mean.
Like
I know it's like illegal, but like I just feel like that one is like the streaking one.
Which one?
Did you see the streaking one? So there was one bet, I forget which sporting event it was, but you could bet if someone would streak the field. And the guy bet on himself.
I remember that.
And he did it.
Yeah, that's genius. He went to jail and he got bailed out and he made a ton of money because he bet like $100K on him to streak or something.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was
I
crazy.
feel like these prop bets, you could get creative. I know it's like kind of gray area, but
that's the thing. Like you look at the NBA, Michael Porter's brother, he should be in jail for life.
Really?
He came into a game, faked an injury. A lot of people bet his under on a player prop, and they all made a ton of.
All right, shout out to today's sponsor, Specialized Recruiting Group. Navigating the professional job search is hard. You know the perfect job is out there. You're just not sure how to find it. The good news is you don't have to go at it alone. You just need Specialized Recruiting Group. Connect at srgpros.com. We're here to guide you and help you find a role that fits, all without costing a dime. Meet Specialized Recruiting Group, offering a tailored approach to find your next role. Go to srgpros.com and get on the right course. Your local Specialized Recruiting Group team knows which businesses are hiring and can offer you a path to contract and full-time roles. Don't see the role you're looking for on the website? Well, they also recruit for confidential roles, so give an office near you a call to learn more. Take the next step in your career by starting srgpros.com.
Money, and then the NBA actually realized what he did, and they investigated, and he was guilty.
No way.
Yeah, it was
I didn't
insane.
see this. When was that?
It's like probably like 8 months ago. It was last season.
Whoa.
Yeah, he literally, people were betting his under. I'm sure this happens all the time. And also you could bet on college props too. And these kids obviously need more money than the NBA players. So if you, I don't do that obviously, but people have inside information. They know the players, and then they could literally pay them off, make a ton of money.
Wow.
It's insane.
That's nuts. Yeah, because the money's so big now in sports betting. It's almost bigger than the actual sport.
It is, but sometimes it's tough to get money down because they'll limit you. So like if you're going to bet Jonte Porter, you kind of want to do it like one time and then get out. But a lot of the times it's hard to get a lot of money down, especially on markets that are smaller, more obscure. People get limited all the time on DraftKings, all these books, they'll limit you.
Yeah. Have you ever gone to a casino and they're like, nah, you can't bet?
Yeah, actually recently.
Really?
I was at Boyd Casino, and I wanted to bet $10,000 on Boise State against Penn State a couple weeks ago. And they're like, nah, we're not going to take your action anymore. I mean, I'd bet there like not that much. I like to keep my options open and use a ton of different books. But they actually said, we don't want your action anymore. You can't bet here.
Wow.
Because you're winning too much.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
So they knew who you were?
Yeah. And
Damn.
the win, too, they don't really take big action.
The win? That's like the best casino in Vegas.
I mean, it's the best to stay, but to gamble. The thing is, if you're a winner in Vegas, they don't like that.
Right.
They have a profile on every single person. So they look and they're like, oh, this guy has an edge here. This guy's winning. And it's not just about winning. A lot of the times it's about like beating the market. So if you consistently beat the market, they're going to see that. And that's an indication that you're a long-term winner. And they're going to cut you off, or they're going to severely limit you.
Damn.
It's insane.
So what's like the max bet? If you haven't gone to a casino and made a sports bet before, will they cap your first bet?
Probably not. I mean, Circa, that's my favorite sports book. They take the biggest bets, especially if you go over the counter. The apps, a lot of these Vegas casino have apps now. They're automatically going to limit you until they see a profile of a player. But yeah, I mean, most of these books, they act like they're so big and they take all these bets. People think that they take these big bets. They really don't. Yeah. And especially if you're a winner, they'll take even less. It's crazy.
That's nuts. Are you betting on like daily games? Do you bet anything in the future? Do you do any crazy stuff like parlays or anything?
I don't really do parlays. I'll do futures a little bit. Like last year, I had the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl preseason.
Wow. And they won it, so you made a lot on that one.
I bet $6,000 to win like $50K.
Damn.
Yeah, that was like my biggest win.
$50K?
On a future, yeah.
That's solid.
Chiefs preseason, but I don't really like to. The futures are tough. I'd rather just be a day-to-day guy, just grind. I know I have good information, so I just keep going with the process.
Well, you could probably make more if you bet daily than waiting a whole year to get the money.
Exactly. It's like if you're going to put money up and they hold the money, you have to pay up front.
Yeah.
So it's not that great because you have to just give them the money. You could get returns elsewhere doing other things with that money sometimes.
100%. You bet on any UFC, any fights, boxing?
A little bit, but I'm still analyzing the data and seeing where the edges are. I know UFC's kind of new. A lot of people did well because that's the other thing. When a sport's new, there's always more edges. So with UFC, I think they've upped the limits recently in Vegas because the edges are slowly going away. But I like to bet when I have a big advantage. So I don't do that much UFC. I like to bet more on like college sports right now.
Yeah, I noticed that. I saw you at PowerSlap the other day.
Yeah, that was.
Were you betting on that?
I just threw in a bet for fun.
That one's like so unpredictable.
But people probably have big edges. If you know that sport really well, you can make a lot of money there.
You know some edges because I know a couple. There's actually coaches in that sport, which is mind blowing to me. But yeah, they definitely have some edges there.
PowerSlap's fun though. I love going to the event.
It's fun. I feel like that one's tough to bet on because whoever goes first has an edge. So like, you know how they do the coin flip?
It's all about the coin flip.
Yeah, whoever goes first wins like 80% of the time.
It's crazy.
So I wouldn't want to bet on that.
No, I think what I noticed is at the beginning, the fights that are not the top guys, those are ending early. But at the end, the top guys could take hits.
Yeah, I know.
So it's not about the coin toss for like the top of the division, but for the people who aren't that good, it was mostly a one and done. That's
100%. Yeah, the first 3 fights were knockouts.
It was insane.
Whoever won first.
It was crazy,
dude, that was a crazy event. They're having another one in March. Shout out to PowerSlap, actually. They let me film there.
Yeah, PowerSlap. Dana's awesome. He invited me, invited you, obviously. Yeah. I love what they're doing. They take an approach, get the influencers, get the people who have a voice in different stuff, and I think it's genius, to be honest.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the college stuff because you have an interesting strategy where you're not betting on like the big college games, right?
I like to bet on the small market games because that's where the biggest edges are. It's tough to get a lot of money down. That's why I like to have a ton of different sports books, but I focus on like the lowest cap college basketball teams. I do it for football as well. A lot of the times I'll bet a game. Lately, it's been moving a ton. So, like, I'll bet an over at 142. It'll move to 144, 145 before the tip.
Damn, just off your bet?
I think it is, yeah, because it's happening pretty much in every game, and the lines will move pretty quick after I bet it. So they kind of know who's sharp and who's not. And like an NFL game, it's very tough to get a massive edge because there's so much money being bet into that market.
Right.
The college basketball games, there's not a lot of money. So I like to bet wide, and I'll use 5-6 different sports books. I'll have friends put in bets, and you get a big advantage there. When you have a 2 or 3 point advantage on a 140-point game with an over-under, that's massive. I don't think a lot of people realize how big every single point is. Like last week in the NFL, for example, just so people can know, the Rams were +6 all week against the Eagles. Closer to the game, it moves to +7. So I wanted to be on the Rams the whole time, and I knew this. I thought the line would get pushed more the Eagles' way, and it did. I go to the Circa an hour before the game. I fire in on the Rams. They lose the game by 6. The guy missed a couple extra points. They lose by 6. If I bet it at 6, I would have pushed. I bet it at 7, and now I'm winning.
Wow.
And if it was 6.5, I'd also be winning. So all the people that bet earlier in the week on the Rams, they're not getting the value that I'm getting by getting the best price. So price is so important when you're sports betting because in the long run, if you could get a half a point, a full point advantage, that's going to make you a lot of money. Because when you see you can buy a half a point at the sports books if you want, every half a point costs 10 cents.
Oh, wow.
That's a 10% difference. So if you get a full point, that's 20%. They charge you a lot of juice when you want to buy points. For me, I'm just going out there betting and then it's moving. But people don't realize how big half a point or a full point is because over the long haul, if you're going to bet every single day and I bet 4 to 6 games every day, it's a massive difference.
Dude, that's crazy. I've never heard of that strategy. So the timing of the bet matters a lot.
Yeah, but it's tough. I mean, if you're a square bettor, it's a lot of the time it's not going to move in your favor. It can move the other way, so you lose value. But if you're a winner, you just get more value by beating the line.
So are you waiting last minute a lot for the bets?
It depends. It depends on the way I think the line's going to move.
Interesting.
For college basketball, like today, I already threw in a couple of bets. I like to bet far in advance because the line will move. But NFL, like that Eagles game, I knew the line was going to move that way, so then I waited.
How'd you know that?
It's just...
It's like a gut feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% of the time. It's just, I'm a math guy. So if I think something is more likely to happen, I'm going to bet on what I think because I believe in myself. If it stayed at 6 or went to 5.5, there's a good chance I wouldn't have bet it at all.
Yeah.
I probably would have stayed away from the game. But I like to take calculated gambles on what's going to happen, and then I'll bet based on that.
Smart. So you're purely analytical with the bets, no emotion involved.
No emotion. I used to be all emotion when I was like in college and stuff. I've been betting for 10 years. I used to be a losing bettor. And like anything, you learn, you sharpen up. I noticed a lot of these offshore books would get rocked by people who would put a bot on the offshore and just absolutely destroy them.
A bot?
Yeah. So, you know offshore betting?
Like the crypto casinos type of thing?
Kind of, yeah. So a lot of people have like a website where you could bet against them. It's like located in Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. And then they have agents, and then they get people to take action. And then pretty much the person taking the action isn't that sharp because they're just like a kid in college or a kid who doesn't really understand the betting game.
Yeah.
So a lot of syndicates and professionals would attack these people, say, oh, I want to bet, give me higher limits, I want to do this, I want to do live betting. And they would absolutely destroy them. And then after 2-3 weeks, they would get kicked off. So I'm like, what's going on here? How is this possible? It doesn't make sense because I saw it over and over again. My friends would just get buried. They would take action and they would get killed. And I'm like, this is nuts. What's actually happening here? So I took all information that I had and I built an algorithm in order to beat the bookies like what these people were doing to the offshores. So now that's the way I bet. It's all computer data, and I'm using an algorithm that beats the bookies just like what I saw my friends were getting beat. So that's pretty much how I do it now.
Wow.
No emotion. I used to be all emotion, and now I'm just strictly by the numbers.
Most people are sports bettors are all emotion, I'd say.
That's why they lose.
Yeah, they bet on the team they like. You know? I'm guilty of that.
No, I mean, if you're going to do it for fun, I think it's you just got to have fun. But if you're going to bet on a team you like and then you lose and then you're going to look at the last game of the night in Hawaii and you want to put $5K on that because you just got buried and now you're on tilt, that's a problem.
Right.
But if you're going to bet $100 on a team you like just for fun, sweat it, go to bed, wake up tomorrow, maybe do it again, that's okay. But I think a lot of people fall into the trap of betting on something they like and then they get a little bit on tilt and then they fire in bigger, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, the Martingale strategy, right?
Yeah, that
Keep
doesn't
doubling.
work.
Keep doubling until
Work. The thing is, people don't realize with that, even in casino, they give you a max bet on blackjack, and then there's a minimum bet. So they kind of counter that strategy based off that. Also, the casino has an unlimited bankroll. So if they're making the min bet 100 and the max bet 10K, it's really hard to do that strategy. But if you could find a casino that doesn't have a max, sometimes if you're a really big gambler, you could set the rules with the casino and be like, you can negotiate. I want to do this. Exactly. That's why he does the Martingale strategy, I think, and he does it effectively because he's telling the casino, this is the max bet I want, this is the min bet. So he's actually able to do it.
Right.
But any public person going into the win, any of these casinos, you can't do that because of the max and min bet. They also have an unlimited bankroll, and you don't. So it's very tough to do that strategy.
Yeah. Do you do any casino games at all?
I do it for fun, but there's not really much of an edge there.
Some people claim they have one, but yeah, it's tough.
In slots, you can have an edge.
I've heard that. Vegas Matt has told me this.
Yeah, no, I saw him on your podcast. He's amazing content. I love Vegas Matt.
Yeah.
But you can find an edge in slots. For example, on the Buffalo machine, which I made a lot of content playing that machine, I was doing it with an edge.
Really?
I'll just tell everybody. I mean, if it says a certain number, 3,100 or higher, you play because it's profitable. You're not going to win every single time. It's the same thing as sports betting. You want to get your money in good. So if I don't know the other machines, there's like 10 of them where advantage players have a massive edge. But it's a lot of work and a lot of time to not make a lot of money. Sometimes you're going to lose. I like to do betting because you could bet bigger. But in slots, you can have edges for sure.
Dude, I know people that play all day just to make $1,000. I'm not even kidding. They go hotel to hotel. They point out the exact machine, and they do that all day, every day.
That's what I'm saying. There's professional groups out there that send people. One time I was playing on a machine, or I wasn't playing yet, but there was someone playing on 2 machines at the Red Rock. And I put my money, I was trying to sit down, and then this woman was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what's going on? But she was playing 2 machines, and I'm like, how is this allowed?
Yeah.
But apparently it is.
Really?
It was crazy. I asked the security, I'm like, can she do this? No, because she was like intimidating me because she's a professional.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, this doesn't make any sense. But she's a professional that's how she makes her living.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've heard that with slots and blackjack, I've heard too.
Blackjack, it's tougher, I think. I mean, I haven't really looked too much into it.
If you count, I guess, is the method.
Yeah, you could count cards, but
it has to be double deck, no auto shuffler, and you got to count, and you have to bet a certain way.
But a lot of the casinos now, it's mostly not hand shuffle anymore.
I don't think any of them do anymore. Yeah, maybe station casinos. I don't know if they do.
Normally, they'll have like 1 table out of like 10.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't even get on that table most of the time.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I think sports betting is probably the best time to money ratio, right?
Yeah, I think so in terms of gambling. For me, I mean, a lot of like my algorithm's running numbers and data when I'm sleeping. So for me, it's the best return. But a lot of people don't have the computer systems to do that.
Right.
But a lot of people aren't professional gamblers either. So
how often do you have to tweak the algorithm? Because I'm sure stuff changes, right?
Constantly making tweaks. Got to update it all the time, depending on what's going on. As I said earlier, a lot of the edges closed, new ones open. So you got to constantly tweak it, make sure everything's good. I'm always looking at it to make sure it's good.
Does it know about like players' injuries or like if someone's going to play or not?
Yeah, of course. Like I bet a college basketball game the other day, Cal against Florida State. I bet it at -2, 30 minutes before the game. Cal tweeted, these players aren't going to be playing.
Oh, wow.
And I knew that way before.
Oh.
So I bet it at -2, and then the line moved to -3.5.
Damn.
And it actually didn't end up winning, but I would make that bet 1,000,000 times over again, because if you're going to bet it at 2 and it goes to 3.5, and I know players are injured before that's announced, I would do that every time, even though I lost. And that's the thing with sports betting. It's similar to poker. You could be all in on a turn with 1 card to come. You're a 70% favorite and still lose. How is that possible? Because there's still a luck element involved.
Right.
You're not going to just win every time when you're a 70% favorite. You're going to win 7 out of 10. And that's the same thing with sports betting. If you consistently beat the lines by a couple points, you're not going to win every game, but you're going to win most of the games.
Absolutely.
And that's how you win long term.
Like you said, 52% is all you need.
Exactly.
Do you know what your win percentage was last year?
Last year, I won $250,000 betting $3,000 a game. So I won like 83 units.
Wow.
I probably bet like 4 or 5 million in handle to win like, I honestly don't know the exact numbers. I know I won 250, but you got to bet a lot of money to win a small amount of money. It's a lot different. Like the handle means how much you actually bet. And I bet probably 20,000 every day. So that's like 5-6 million in a year, 365 times 20.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll bet less, sometimes I'll bet more. But you got to bet a lot of money and get volume in because it's such a small, tight margin. So you want to just keep betting with the edge. Long term, you'll win.
Nice. Yeah, 250's solid money, man. Well done.
Yeah,
for sports betting, that's like the most I've heard. Because a lot of people say their numbers, but I don't believe them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, people are like, oh, I win 4 million, I win
Yeah.
10 million. It's like, yeah, nobody believes you.
But 250 is like actually realistic. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I won 250 last year. This year, I'm trying to win 400 or 500. I also make money in other areas in my life, so I'm not pressing for money.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the process, what makes the most money in the end. And if I could win an extra 400,000 or 500,000 every year betting sports, I'm happy with that.
Absolutely. Plus, it's fun. But yeah, you hear these crazy numbers like people making millions. I'm like, dude. And then they're selling picks for $20. I'm like, there's just something's not math in here.
You're making millions selling picks for $20. How is that possible?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense, dude.
You're starving for 20, making millions. That's crazy.
It's crazy to me. Yeah, there's been a lot of people getting exposed in that space, but I like your numbers. They sound real to me. Poker, you mentioned that. Your brother's been crushing it, right?
Yeah, he had a big year, about $5 million in cashes and tournaments. He's pretty good.
Which for poker is crazy. $5 million.
He's playing with the top in the world. He plays 100,000 buy-ins, 250 buy-ins. I think he played $1 million buy-in this year.
Jeez.
But he's been one of the best poker players in the world for a long time. I don't really play much. I play for fun.
Yeah.
He has the algorithm that I have for sports in his brain for poker, and I think he's the best PLO player in the world. I'm not just saying that because he's my brother. A lot of people would say that out there if they follow poker. But he's on another level with poker.
Yeah.
Do you play poker?
Nah. I respect poker players, though. That's a tough life.
A lot of poker players do sports, too. They're coming into the industry.
Yeah, Sean Perry.
Yeah, he does sports. He does poker. But I think there's a crossover, but I don't really get involved much in poker because I just like to do whatever I have an advantage in.
Yeah.
And that's sports betting.
It's tough to have an advantage in poker.
You got to be really sharp.
You got to be super sharp.
And you got to play a ton of hands. It's all about like seeing the situation over and over again. A lot of people do game theory now where they study how to play a certain way, but I think a lot of the poker players are all playing the same way, and when you do that, you're just going to lose long term because you have to change it up if you're going to win. It's like in anything. If everyone's doing the same thing, it doesn't work. You got to find a way to beat what they're doing.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what my brother does well. He knows the theories that they're doing, but he knows how to combat that, which is why he can win a lot of money.
Makes sense. Who do you have as the GOAT of poker? Texas Hold'em.
That's a great question. I'd probably say Phil Ivey.
Same.
You like him?
Yeah.
He's just a killer. I think he's kind of like a Kobe Jordan type guy. I like the guys who have the killer instinct where they just look at you and you get scared. Because he's really good at like the instincts, the feel of the game. Like he might say the math is this way, but I'm thinking this, and then he goes with his gut instinct, and he's going to be right more of the time. And I really respect people who do that.
Absolutely.
They go by feel.
Yeah. He's one of those guys. When he's at your table, you're like fearful of him.
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
It's crazy.
Yeah, he's got that Jordan energy. That's always the thing with Jordan and LeBron. And I know we went viral last time for the. You said LeBron, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this: LeBron didn't have that fear that Jordan
He didn't. I think LeBron's a better player, but I think Jordan is more of he has the killer instinct.
Yeah.
Which I do respect a lot. I try to emulate Kobe in the way that he thinks about it, Mamba mentality. I wasn't really alive to see Jordan play. I don't think you were either,
No.
obviously. But Kobe's kind of the guy we grew up on with the killer instinct. I think LeBron's the most talented in terms of everything for a basketball player, but he doesn't have that killer instinct. I think if he did, he would have won a lot more championships.
Yeah. You've been following the NBA this season much?
Yeah. I mean, it's not as good as it's been when we were growing up. It's kind of fallen off, in my opinion.
Well, it's not just your opinion. The ratings are at an all-time low this year.
It's crazy. And I think it's because the players don't really give a fuck anymore. It's like if you're making 50, 60 million and you get that money guaranteed if you play or don't play or care or don't care, why would you care? It used to be all about winning, and now it's just about personal growth and social media clips and money. And it's like, I think that's why the Europeans are now better at basketball than the Americans. Because when you go to the youth basketball in Europe, they're teaching players to be great. Look at Wemby. Look at what he says when he's in an interview. I want to be the best player of all time. I want to be amazing. He's not saying things that Ja's saying, Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards just cares about the brand deals. He cares about the money. He cares about the stats, the highlights. And that's not going to get you to be a winning basketball player.
Yeah, I agree. You see SGA's post-game interview clips. They get more views than his highlight reel.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
And he's Canadian, too. A lot of people don't realize that. He's not even American. The top 5 players, Giannis, Jokic, Luka, Shea, they're all European and Canadian. None of them are American anymore.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, the money's gotten so big. It's like, why would you care? Like, why would you want to put your body on the line and get injured?
And also, like the NIL And the fact that players in high school and college can make money now, I think that changes it too. Because before you get into the league, you could be worth $10 million. Your head gets all fucked up. You don't realize that you want to be great at something and have a future. You're like, oh, I'm making all this money as a 17-year-old. So it actually fucks your head up so bad. And that's why I think a lot of the players coming in, I think this problem's going to get worse. It's an epidemic. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. People are looking at like LaMelo and his brother's rapping and he's doing all this fashion stuff. And it's like they want to follow in their footsteps. And I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the side effects of the NIL, actually, I remember a lot of people pushed for it. They wanted college and high schoolers to make money, and it sounded great on paper, especially as an athlete. But now you're kind of seeing the consequences of it.
And also, there's no market cap or salary cap. So it's just like it's a race to the bottom opposite a race to the top. They're just going to keep getting paid more and more. Like Ohio State just won the national championship in football.
Yeah.
They have the biggest payroll. $20 million they paid to their team.
Jeez.
That's more than some baseball teams pay to their pros.
Holy crap.
It's insane.
20 million?
They paid $20 million to their team.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, other schools are probably paying close to that, but now people, if you're a booster at an SEC team like Alabama or Georgia, you're just going to keep paying more so your team can win. There's billionaires that support these schools. They're just going to keep paying more and more so their players could be better and they think they could win the title. But I think there's got to be some type of salary cap on this because you're going to see a massive gap between the top teams and the bottom teams. It's already been like that in college, but it's going to get even wider.
So it's almost like sports are becoming pay to play. It's like who has the most money.
Exactly. And I think people think it's good because you pay the players, and I'm all for that, but I just think it needs to be regulated a little bit more.
Yeah, because in the NBA, it's regulated, right? There's a cap, and then a luxury tax.
Exactly.
But some teams will go over that just so they have a higher chance of winning.
They do, but like the Thunder are infamous for not paying Harden.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, they kept Ibaka because he was going to be cheaper than Harden, and it fucked them. They ended up not winning anything.
They would have won, I think, if they kept him.
They definitely would have won. I mean, they played the Heat in the finals when everybody was like 22, 23. I think they lost in 5. But they chose Ibaka over Harden because they're a small market team and they don't want to pay the luxury tax. So it actually ended up fucking them because they didn't win. But if you look at the Warriors, they pay a massive luxury tax now, which is not actually advantageous because Draymond and they had to get rid of Clay. They're not as good.
Yeah.
But in the moment, they were winning, so they're fine to pay the luxury tax. It's kind of like the Dodgers. In baseball, there's no cap, but they paid Ohtani $700 million because they know the revenue that he's going to generate: jersey sales, ticket sales, food at the stadium. It's all Japanese stuff. I went there; they changed everything.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like they have sushi, they have
What?
ramen.
At the Dodgers game?
They have everything Japanese now to cater to the Japanese people.
Wow.
Because a lot of Japanese people live in LA, and it's not even that far. It's like an 8-hour flight from Japan to LA. So they're catering to the Japanese people, and now they got Yamamoto, they got Sasaki from Japan. So now they're actually making way more money off the field because of these guys. So they're profiting so much, they could keep paying more and more money. And I think baseball should have a salary cap too, because you got teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, they're paying $30-40 million to their entire team, and Ohtani's making double that.
Holy crap.
It's insane.
That is nuts. That makes sense why the Lakers signed Bronny then, because they must have saw it from a business point of view, right?
Exactly. Bronny's going to bring eyeballs. He's going to bring jersey sales. He's going to bring the whole younger generation to the Lakers in terms of a fan perspective. So it's not always about like the level of play. I think it's changing now to where people want eyeballs, jersey sales, and Ohtani was a great example of that.
Yeah, it's almost like sports are becoming entertainment.
I mean, it is. The NFL is an entertainment league.
NFL?
Yeah, it's like if you look at the bylaws, it says it's an entertainment league, and a lot of people think it's rigged and corrupt because of that. But you look at the WWE, which I'm not obsessed with it, but I used to watch when it was good, early 2000s. They just admit that it's rigged. They say it's scripted. Everyone knows that, I think. So WWE, they're far ahead of it. all these sports, I think a lot of people are thinking they're rigged, but it's kind of tough to tell.
I mean, there's always going to be that question with referees in any sport, right? That natural bias.
I think the refs could be in on it, but I don't think the players are in on it.
Really?
Because the refs, they have earpieces in their headset. They could be talking to someone. But the NFL players, they need to feed their families and make money and go for that next paycheck. So if they're going to be in on the rigging, they must be getting paid a ton of money on the side, which I don't think is going on.
Yeah, but as the sports betting market gets bigger and bigger, that could be a possibility, right?
Definitely could. Just like the Jonte Porter situation.
Yeah, and like you said, college athletes probably need the money more.
And you could bet on player props in those markets, so it's all crazy. There's so much money involved in sports betting now. You don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
It's
Have you ever bet on high school or any weird, like, obscure sport?
Not
Ping pong
really.
or something?
Nah. I think people who say they bet on that stuff are just losing bettors. It's like, unless you have really good information,
Yeah,
I mean, that to me is just crazy.
you're super disciplined.
Like a guy like Freezer Tarps. I don't know if you know
I don't
him.
know.
He's a pretty big influencer. He's getting into sports betting, and I think he's fucking hilarious. But he bets, and then he lost, and then he's like, oh, I'm going to bet 2 a.m. ping pong, and I'm just going to fire it in. It's like, dude, tell me you're a loser without telling me you're a loser.
Yeah. You need to get with Steve Will Do It.
I actually saw him at the Red Rock.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's probably the biggest gambling influencer in terms of casino. I mean, I just kind of like do my own thing and stay in my own lane and like whatever. But I
mean,
saw him at the sportsbook. He knew about my stuff. And
Nice.
it was the Packers-Lions Thursday night football game. And he was taking the Lions. I was taking the Packers. And I think we actually both won because he always bets the money line and I take the spread.
Oh.
So they were plus 3.5, and they actually ended up losing by 3. So he won and I won, which was great.
Wow. I see him post on Twitter all the time, like, I need good sports bettors. I'll give you, like, a piece if you get me good information.
Oh, he
So
does?
That's why I mentioned that.
Maybe I'll reach out. But
I would, yeah.
He loves betting on the Lions. He's been betting on the Lions for, like, I think 2 years.
So he just bets on purely lines.
I mean, he bets on other things. I think he does a lot of prize picks, which is like player props.
Yeah, I've seen him do that.
But he loves betting on the Lions because they made him a ton of money, which does make sense. I mean, they went, what, I think 13-4 this year, something like that.
I think 15-2, right?
Or 15-2.
Yeah, but then they lost. He might have lost on the playoff game.
I had the Commanders' money line in that.
You had
game.
that?
Yeah.
Wow, they were a heavy underdog, right?
It was plus 400.
Holy crap.
The thing is, I knew Jaden Daniels, he's not rated where he should be because he's a rookie. And the Lions' defense was so banged up. And I knew that they wouldn't be able to stop Jaden Daniels, especially in the conditions with the dome. So I'm like, this is a great opportunity to bet on the Commanders' money line because Vegas, everybody's betting on the Lions. Everyone thought the Lions were going to make the Super Bowl. Everyone thinks the Bills are going to make the Super Bowl. So I don't solely base opposite of what people think, but it's definitely a factor. When everybody's betting the Lions, I like to stray away from the public and what they're doing. I thought the value was too good to pass up on the Commanders. I threw in a nice bet. Paid off.
Well done. If Mahomes wins this year, do you have him over Brady?
Even without it, I think Mahomes is the best quarterback of all time.
Wow.
I mean, you look at the results. He's been to 4 Super Bowls. He's won 3 Super Bowls. He's been to the conference championship game every time. I think he has 2 league MVPs, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. If you stack up Mahomes' first 6-7 years to Brady, it's not even close. At the beginning of Brady's career, he was completely carried by the defense. And I like to compare it like that. You can't look at Brady's 20 years compared to Mahomes' 6. I want to compare Brady's first 6 to Mahomes' first 6. Yeah, Brady's amazing on longevity. He's played 20 years. He won with the Bucks without Belichick. But a lot of these arguments, I think, are not valid because he went 10 years in the middle of his career. He didn't win a thing. So if Mahomes were to quit today and put up the results that he's put up, would you say that Brady's better than him? To me, there's no way. Because it's like in the NBA, you look at Luka, what he's doing in his first 6-7 years is greater than what a lot of players have done. It took Jordan 7 years to win a championship. It took LeBron 7 years to win a championship. But people are so quick to judge all these players at the beginning, and I think that's just stupid. But if you look at Mahomes, He's not putting up the numbers anymore because he doesn't have to. He's just winning. His first year, he threw 50 touchdowns and he won the MVP. He had Tyreek Hill. He had a lot of different players on his team. Now, he just does whatever's necessary to win the game. And that's what people have mistaken. It's not about the stats. It's not about the accolades. It's about winning the football game. And that's what the Chiefs and Mahomes do better than anyone else.
Absolutely. Do you think if Saquon gets a ring this year, he's in the conversation for greatest running back?
I already have him there.
You already have him there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he was on the Giants with a shitty offensive line, still putting up good numbers. You put him on the Eagles with a good offensive line, he's going to put up video game-like numbers every season. I wouldn't put him as number one. I think he's definitely top 5 best running back of all time. But I've been watching him since he went to Penn State. I actually went to Penn State also, and I was there around the same time as him. Mm-hmm. What he does on these long runs is insane. Like against the Rams, he had 3 50-plus yard runs. Nobody does that. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's pretty good too. But Saquon, what he does is just insane. The Rams knew that they were running at the end of the game, and he still takes it for 70 and gets a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's like when he's in open space, you can't tackle him.
Yeah, he's different.
He's amazing.
I got AP at number 1.
AP, he's a physical specimen.
Yeah, to come back from those injuries too.
Yeah, the ACL and
People
stuff.
thought he was done after that one.
I mean, AP is definitely up there in the top 5 conversation. I think Barry Sanders is up there. But what Saquon's doing, the Eagles might win a Super Bowl off Saquon's back.
Right.
I don't think that's ever been done before with a running back.
That's a good point. Yeah, because a lot of running backs, like the great ones, never were the full-on leader of the team, right?
I saw a stat. When Jalen Hurts throws for less than 150 yards, the Eagles are 3-0 in the playoffs. When he throws for more, they're like 0-2.
What?
It's insane.
Wow. So that's how important he is on.
They just want to run the football as much as they possibly can. And the other teams know that, and they still can't stop it.
That's crazy.
It's insane. A.J. Brown hasn't done anything in the playoffs, and they're still winning.
Facts. Bill Belichick or Andy Reid right now?
I think Belichick's the best of all time. I mean, a lot of people don't think that since Brady left and won a championship. But in my opinion, Bill Belichick completely made Brady into the player that he is. I think Belichick's the best of all time, in my opinion. They changed rules because of this guy. If you remember in the playoffs against the Ravens, they did a punt once. I forget exactly what happened. They changed the rule because of Belichick. He's the most genius-minded special teams coach I've ever seen, defensive coach I've ever seen. I just feel like he gives you the biggest edge. Preparation, I don't know what the Patriots did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but it seems like his players are more prepared to play than any other team I've ever seen. But I do think Andy Reid is the best coach right now. The Chiefs are just the smartest team. Everything they do, clock management-wise, game management-wise, they're just levels above. And a lot of these coaches are so stupid. You look at like Raheem Morris. Falcons were playing the Commanders, I think, and they just couldn't get – they didn't even use their timeout. The Lions against the Bears on Thanksgiving, they had a timeout with 23 seconds, and the game ended with a timeout. They don't – it's absolutely ridiculous behavior what these coaches are doing.
Yeah.
It's like, how dumb can you be? And you also have an analytics guy on the sideline telling you what to do. It just blows my mind how dumb some of these coaches are.
Yeah, each team has like a full analytics team now, I heard, right?
That's what I'm talking about. It's like, but the coaches probably want to like listen to themselves over the analytics people because they're so dumb. If you notice, a lot of these coaches are like old football players.
Yeah.
Those usually aren't the guys that are sharp. You want like a 35-year-old boy genius like a McVay, like a Matt LaFleur, like a Kyle Shanahan, Ben Johnson, who just got hired by the Bears. These are the guys that give you the best advantage to win in football because, in my opinion, those are the smartest guys in football.
Yeah, Notre Dame coach is pretty young.
Marcus Freeman, he's like 36 years old. He's a genius. Notre Dame has been a shitty program in terms of playing at the top level. Now they come in, they win 3 playoff games. They go to Ohio State, give them a run for their money. And I think Marcus Freeman is the difference in terms of why they were able to play better.
Yeah, because they haven't been good since Brian Kelly, right?
And even when they played Alabama and they got absolutely smoked.
Yeah, I think twice too.
Yeah, it was 2 times.
Twice, yeah. They always make it to the finals, and then it's not close. But
The thing is, they set up the easy schedule for themselves. Notre Dame doesn't play in a conference, so because they have an NBC deal for a ton of money. So they make pretty much the same schedule every year, and it's kind of weak. So every year they're gonna go 10-2, 11-1, something like that. I think they're gonna make the playoff probably every year with Marcus Freeman because of their scheduling. And they also want Notre Dame in the playoff because of their name, because of the money they can bring and generate. So I think Notre Dame might have a long run of doing well right now.
yeah. Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich?
That's tough because I didn't see much of Phil Jackson. What do you think on that one?
I'm going Phil just because I liked how he played the mental game too. It wasn't just coaching.
He coached Jordan and Kobe, right?
And Shaq and Rodman.
Shaq.
He had to manage all those guys.
Didn't he say like it was about managing personalities and not so much about X's and O's, right?
Yeah. 11 rings. I mean,
The thing is, I'm a Knicks fan. He
Ooh.
came to the Knicks and he did nothing. We had to drive him out of there.
I think he was washed by then. He was so old by then, dude. He didn't think about it. When you're that old and that rich.
The thing about Popovich that I don't like, he gets so involved in politics.
Yeah.
Just like Steve Kerr.
Yeah, he hates Trump.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like, shut the fuck up. It's like Popovich and Steve Kerr, they're so involved in this stuff. It's like we're all American citizens. We have rights to our own opinion. You don't have to shove it in our face.
Yeah.
And that's something that I hate with all sports right now. It's so much politics in your face. It's like, I want to watch sports to get away from my stress. I mean, as a professional gambler, it's different. But for most people, we want to get rid of our stress. We want to like watch something and enjoy. And they take the fun out of that by bringing all this politics and all that stuff. And I think it honestly, that's something that's hurt the NBA tremendously.
100%.
They're so involved in the left. And it's like, you're just alienating anyone who has a differing view. And I think it's so dumb.
That's part of the reason LeBron gets a lot of hate.
Yeah, he's a left. He's on the left. Right?
Well, not just that. He's just like vocal about it. Like Jordan never talked politics.
He wants to win.
I just saw Pippen on Patrick Bet-David's show, and he was talking about this. They don't talk anymore, Pippen and Jordan, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, they got some beef.
But didn't like Pippen's ex-wife like date
Jordan's son, but he said they were never close off the court, which is wild.
That's the thing. Like people, it's like a business relationship with Pippen and Jordan.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna do what it takes on the court. Doesn't mean you have to be friends off the court.
But now everyone is friends with each other.
Yeah, LeBron changed that. He's like, oh, I want to be friends with Durant, Dwayne Wade. I'll join forces. It's like that shit is so dumb to me. It's like stay with your team your whole career, find a way to make it work. I'm more old school mentality with a lot of stuff. I don't believe you should be friends with your opponent because you want to get any edge you can over them.
Right.
And part of it's mental. And part of it's in the summer. You don't want them to train with you so they can see what you're doing. You want to keep the people who do the best in the world at whatever they do, they keep it quiet.
Fact.
They don't tell anybody because they're making a lot of money. So it's like, why would LeBron tell Durant what he's doing in the offseason? Doesn't make any sense to me.
I got to ask, since you brought up Durant, how do you feel about Draymond Green? Because obviously he brought 4 rings, but he also drove Durant and he drove Jordan Poole out of the organization.
I think Draymond he's great, but I think he's overrated. And I think he's way too cocky. It's like if you were on any other team, you would have been out of the league within 5 years. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson made you into who you are. So I think Draymond needs to be humbled a little bit because he's not really a good offensive player. He's a good playmaker, but you need weapons to be able to play make 4. If you put him on the Charlotte Hornets, he'd be nothing. He made so much money. He became such a big name, in my opinion, completely because of Steph Curry. And it's like, dude, you got to recognize that, and you got to take a step back. I don't know the whole story with the Jordan Poole stuff, and honestly, I wouldn't have paid Draymond anything. Like, I would have said, I believe in loyalty, but I also believe in doing what's best for business. And when Draymond's not that great of a player anymore, if you pay him and give him a contract, it's gonna fuck you in the future, paying other players. So personally, I get it. Draymond did a lot for that franchise, but I don't think the Warriors should have paid him because he's nowhere near the level of player that he used to be.
Yeah, I really wanted to see Clay end his career there. You know?
I mean, I do too, but what are you going to do when he's not performing at the level? The Warriors, they're in a lot of trouble right now because they're paying so much money and they're not a good team. When you have a team like the Thunder who's not paying that much money and they have a great team and a ton of assets.
Yeah.
So it's all about the future. And when you if they were going to keep Clay and Draymond, it just would hurt them.
That's a good point. Father Time's undefeated, right?
Exactly. Besides Brady.
Facts. Are you on the LaMelo Ball bandwagon?
I think he's a great player, but I don't think he cares enough about winning.
Mm.
I do love the Ball family. I love LiAngelo, and I think Lonzo's a great player. And I think it's pretty cool how LeVar said he talked all his shit, and it ended up coming true pretty much that his sons were great players. But I think you got to care about basketball, number one, to be great, because everybody's chasing greatness. Everybody wants to be great. And if you don't care as much as the next guy, it's going to hurt you.
Do you think Jokic has a shot of becoming the best center of all time?
I think he does personally, but I don't think he'll ever be considered that because I don't think – it's all about what the media pushes, right? So even to this day, Jokic doesn't get near the push that he deserves.
Mm.
So I don't think – it's like the Brady argument. Personally, I don't believe he's the GOAT, but the media brainwashes everyone to think he's the GOAT, so they're just going to say he's the GOAT because 90% of people follow whatever the media says.
Right.
So they're never going to say Jokic is the best center of all time because they're going to say guys that they want to push the narrative like Shaq or Duncan or players like that. They're going to always say Shaq is better because he's in the media, he's on TNT, he loves the NBA, he still wants to be involved. Jokic doesn't care about basketball as much as Shaq. When the season's over, he goes home to his horses, and that's what he cares about more. So I don't think the media is really going to push him to propel him for people to think he's the best. But for me, I don't follow what other people say. I think whatever I think. And I think he definitely could be considered one of the greatest of all time at the center position for sure.
I think part of it also is he's not marketable.
Exactly.
Like the personality.
He's not on Instagram.
Yeah, they can't make money off him.
Exactly. So why would they care if they can't make money off him?
100%. Yeah, from a business point of view, I get it.
What do you think he's one of the best centers, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many MVPs already? 3 or 4?
I think so.
And he's still kind of in his prime right now?
Yeah, he's young. He came in 15, 16. Europeans usually come in young. He's probably only 29 right now. I don't know exactly what
and he got snubbed on one of them by Embiid, I remember, too. So
I think that was last year.
Was it last year? Yeah, because they didn't want him winning 3 in a row. It would have looked bad.
Exactly, because the media votes for MVP. So they want to change the narrative and control it. And it's like that stuff is just I just don't respect it.
MVP is so, like, subjective.
Exactly. I mean, this year I think it's going to be Shea for sure. I saw it was like minus 600 to get MVP. But they just want to – usually what the NBA does is they give it to the youngest player who's never won it and is on the come-up. Mm. And Shea does fit that bill right now, so I think that's another added reason why he's going to win it. But if you look at history, it's always a young guy coming up who's never won it they love to give it to. Yeah.
What do you think of Rudy Gobert having 4 defensive players of the year?
I think he's the most overrated player of all time, especially as time goes on. If you look at Minnesota in the playoffs last year, he's a complete liability on offense. It's like you could play 4-on-5 in the other way. So they had to take him out of the game and put in Reid because he does nothing on offense. Mm. The game has evolved and changed so much. You see centers shooting threes. If they don't, and if they can't score outside the paint, it's kind of tough to keep them in the game. And another thing with the free throws, you just foul them. You foul them when you're in the penalty early.
Hack a Shaq.
Exactly. It's just these guys, you have to be able to score offensively now as a center.
Yeah. It can't be like Rodman anymore. We get 20 rebounds.
Yeah, that doesn't exist because it's just the game's so much different now.
Absolutely. Where do you rank Steph Curry in the point guard GOAT debate?
It's probably the best. I think there's only a certain handful of players that revolutionize the game. And I think Steph Curry in the modern day He's revolutionized the game even more than Kobe, more than LeBron. Everybody's shooting threes. If you look at the way the game is played today versus 10 years ago, they're shooting so many more threes, and it's all because of Steph Curry. The Warriors figured out that 3 points is better than 2. But what I'm saying now is it's only better if you have a good percentage three-point shooter. A lot of these teams, they're taking guys that are shooting 32% and they're just chucking up threes, and they don't realize that you want to drive and in order to get the three. You want to play inside out, and that still applies to today. You want to, like last year, a lot of the three-point shots were created off drives to the paint. If you touch the paint first, make the defense collapse, it's a lot easier to get a wide-open three.
Right.
And I think Steph Curry he changed the game completely, and I respect that a lot. When you look at youth basketball, a kid goes to the gym, what are they doing? They're shooting threes right away.
Yep.
They used to take 4-footers, 6-footers. You see the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's shooting threes now.
Yeah, I play in the Lifetime Leagues in Vegas. It's all threes.
It's insane.
Like, if you don't have a sniper on your team, you're not making it in the playoffs.
And Steph Curry is the complete reason why.
Yeah, I agree. If you played an average WNBA player one-on-one to 11 points, do you think you would win?
That's a great question. I mean, I think so, just based on the physicality advantage. I mean, you would have a massive height advantage against any player, so I think that would help you a lot.
I think I would win, yeah.
I think, what are you, 6'8"?
6'7", yeah. So I think that'd help because the average WNBA player, probably 5'10" or something.
Yeah, you would be able to just back them down and just score.
Yeah.
But then it would look bad because you're like using physicality.
Yeah. I wouldn't care, though.
Put some money on the line and then you wouldn't care.
I mean, they're already talking about how they could beat NBA players. So
Really?
Yeah, you haven't seen this?
No.
Aja Wilson, she said she could beat the guy on the Knicks, Josh Hart.
Really?
One-on-one.
I mean, she's
one of the best,
Yeah,
so that's a bad example. But I'm saying average WNBA player, I think I could beat.
You definitely could beat. I mean, for me, I think it would be dependent on if I'm hitting my jumper. I mean, I'm a pretty good shooter, but I like to just shoot threes, and if I could hit them, I think I would win. But it'd probably be like an even matchup, honestly.
Yeah, I feel that. And you don't play that much?
I haven't been playing much. You play a lot, right?
Yeah, I do. I play twice a week. You should play.
You're in a Lifetime League?
Yeah, but they do runs there, too.
I mean, the Summerlin one or which one?
Yes, I live by Summerlin, yeah.
I'm a member. I should probably.
Oh, you are? Dude,
Yeah.
every night at 6.
You go there a lot?
Yeah.
I'll
Pull up
start
Monday
coming
night.
through.
Yeah, I'll text you. Well, dude, it's been cool. I don't know if you're selling any picks yet or anything, but where can people find out more about you?
Just check me out on Twitter, Instagram. It's Blez Bets on Twitter, Cblez on Instagram. I do sell picks if you guys want, but I just like to have a good time, have fun, make good content.
Oh, yeah. We'll link it all below, dude. Thanks for coming on. Check them outside if you're interested in sports betting. See you next time.